really, really need to adjust and definitely address very soon. But overall, Caitlin Clark is like that. I mean, my goodness. Within the first 5 minutes, Caitlin Clark had like 6-7 points, bro. Like, I ain't even going to hold you. This game right here is a telltale sign to let us know what we could expect. And I'm telling you right now, we can expect fireworks. Caitlin Clark.
The Indiana Fever walked into New York and handled business in their preseason opener against the Liberty, putting together a performance that had fans across the league taking notice. Caitlin Clark set the pace early, scoring 6 or 7 points within the opening 5 minutes and making the game look manageable from the jump. She finished the night with 7 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, and went 1 of 5 from three-point range on 2 of 10 shooting overall. The numbers were modest, but the feel of the game told a different story. Clark's presence shaped the flow of the contest in ways the box score does not fully capture. The real standout of the night was Raven Johnson. Coming into the game with a lot of hype around her defensive ability, she delivered exactly what was expected and then some.
Fireworks. Caitlin Clark. There was a lot to look at.
Implementing in the offseason, defense being one of them for the
bench is so good,
y'all. Johnson with the ball in her hands. Nice pass. Timpson.
I'm not even gonna lie. The Fever bench is nasty, bro. They might have the.
Johnson posted 6 points, 8 assists, 0 turnovers, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, and 3 blocks while shooting a perfect 3 for 3 from the field. She was everywhere, disrupting passing lanes, pushing the pace in transition, and getting coast to coast with ease. That kind of stat line in 17 or 18 minutes of preseason play is the kind of showing that raises the ceiling for what this team could become. Kelsey Mitchell also looked sharp, handling the ball with confidence and hitting shots that reinforce the value of bringing her back. Sophie Cunningham came out firing from deep, hitting threes and playing with an energy that made her contract situation feel like unfinished business. Many observers felt she deserved a larger deal and more years than she ultimately received.
Bro, they might have the best bench in all of the WNBA. Like, we knew that there was a chance that there was going to be good, but our bench is really, really good.
Game has evolved, and now we're seeing Dominique Malonga, who can just
Raven Johnson, bro, was all over the place. Raven Johnson was all over the place, bro. I ain't gonna hold you, bro.
In the lane.
Look at this, bro. Look at this.
The Fever bench as a whole looked like one of the more dangerous second units in the league. The depth across positions created matchup problems throughout the game, and that was without Aaliyah, Boston, Lexi Hall, or Dantas suiting up. Once those players are back in the rotation at full strength, the possibilities for this roster expand considerably. Breanna Stewart and Breanna Ionescu, 2 of the Liberty's most recognized names, were held in check for long stretches. The Fever's defensive energy, particularly from Johnson and others attacking on the perimeter, made New York look uncomfortable in a way that felt meaningful even in a preseason setting.
Just incredible. And just think, Aaliyah Boston didn't play. Lexi Hall didn't play. Dantas didn't play. Now, one player that kind of disappointed me, I gotta say, and be all the way real with y'all, was Monique Billings. I expected to see way, way more from Monique Billings.
The one player who drew criticism was Monique Billings, who was expected to fill in meaningfully at the post given the absences of Boston and Dantas. She did not produce at the level many anticipated, and that stands as something the coaching staff will likely address as camp continues. There were stretches where the defense had lapses, moments where New York found openings that Stephanie White will want cleaned up before the regular season arrives. Indiana trailed for a small portion of the game, entering halftime down 53-48, but those stretches were the exception rather than the standard across the night.
Now, there was a lot of fans rocking out with Fever jerseys.
Delivery pass, card number 24, Emily Bailey.
Kelsey Mitchell looked good, y'all. Hey.
The ball in her hands.
Hey, she worth that money, man.
The game closed out as an encouraging sign of what this version of the Fever is capable of. A healthy, fully assembled roster heading into the regular season, paired with the defensive intensity shown in this matchup, gives the fanbase real reasons to expect something different from last year's injury-disrupted campaign. There is a recurring argument circulating around Caitlin Clark's development that keeps missing the actual point, the idea that she simply needs to get better off the ball. The more direct response to that argument is, stop taking her off the ball. She is not good without the ball in her hands.
Hey, she worth that money, man. Watch this. Watch this right here. Watch Kelsey Mitchell. Laser. Dark. Splash, bruh. Splash.
She is bringing
Raven
up.
Johnson, bruh. Raven Johnson get coast to coast on this. Watch her. My goodness, Raven looked good, y'all. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. Raven Johnson, she looked damn good, man.
She is not Stephen Curry, and for anyone who watches basketball seriously, the claim that she played off the ball at Iowa because her teammates just fed it back to her is not the counter-argument it appears to be. Running a double pin down so a player can receive the ball in the exact same spot she would have reached by dribbling up herself is not off-ball movement in any meaningful sense. Being able to curl off an occasional pin down into a spot-up three does not make someone an off-ball threat. It means they can run into a catch-and-shoot opportunity.
Raven Johnson, she looked damn good, man. We ain't tripping off no Asia Wilson, bro.
In the lane. Tough lay. Gets it to fall.
Everywhere. We was everywhere, bro. Everywhere, dog. The Indiana Fever like that. What's this right here? Let's say Flash. Let's go.
That is not the same thing. The Indiana Fever do not run quick hitters designed to spring a player free. Their offensive structure is a continuous motion system built around one core principle. The right pass goes to the open player. Whoever has the ball makes the decision. In that framework, when Clark is being face-guarded, which she is, on virtually every possession and a teammate is standing open somewhere else on the floor, the ball goes to the open teammate.
Let's go. God, this is what we want to see, dog. This is exactly, look at Raven Johnson. Coast to coast, bro. And Caitlin Clark made it look easy. Sophie Cunningham came out gunslinging threes. Sophie looked like she could have got
That is not a mistake. That is the system functioning exactly as designed. The argument that Sophie Cunningham should force the ball back to Clark ignores the fact that doing so would frequently mean passing into a double team or a closely contested situation to someone who is being denied. That is how turnovers happen. When Clark has the ball, she is the offensive engine.
Or some pin downs or any of that type of thing into a spot up three. Doesn't mean you're an off the ball player. It means you're able to run into a shot. The Indiana Fever do not run quick hitters. They don't. So taking you need to run some plays to go and get Caitlin Clark off the ball and get her the ball back. That does not happen. The Indiana Fever runs some form of a continuous motion offense with the attitude of
when she does not, she becomes a decoy and not a particularly dangerous one because teams are willing to play essentially 4-on-4 to keep the ball out of her hands. And Indiana is not running actions specifically designed to get it back to her, not intentionally. After the Olympic break in 2024, there was a period where the structure shifted. If Clark gave the ball up, the goal was to return it to her. She and Aaliyah Boston were making the decisions. That is no longer how the offense operates.
The attitude of the right pass is the player that is open. That is the way the Indiana Fever are. That is the way they play. That is the way they've played last year. That is how they play. And if you look at it, like I saw Venom breaking down clips and it's like, oh, Sophie's not giving the ball to Caitlin. Well, it's like, yeah, because Caitlin is is being face guarded and someone else is open. That is the way the Fever initiate their half-court offense. That is the way the Fever play in the half.
Now whoever holds the ball makes the call. The consequence of that setup plays out in a very specific and consistent pattern. Clark gets the ball in the first quarter, plays up-tempo, makes quick decisions, and she is efficient, active, involved. Then she goes 4 or 5 possessions without touching it. When she finally gets it back, she does not ease back into the flow.
Initiate their half-court offense. That is the way the Fever play in the half-court. It is not going to change. It was the same last year. Caitlin Clark, when she does not have the ball in her hands, is playing decoy. She could be the greatest cutter in the world. She is being face guarded. There's not going to be any screen set for her. Unless the ball gets to a big on either of the elbows or elbows extended, and she comes looking for a handoff, she is not getting the ball. She could be the greatest player in the world. Teams are willing to go 4-on-4 to keep the ball out of her hands.
She dribbles repeatedly, fires a deep step back, and it almost never goes in. Those have been called frustration shots for 2 seasons now, and that is exactly what they are. Rhythm players do not adapt smoothly to forced idleness within a game. When the rhythm breaks, they chase it. Clark chases it with volume shooting from range, and it costs the team.
And the Indiana Fever are gladly willing to not run anything to get her in a position to get the ball back. Not intentionally anyway. Their entire offense is a motion with a couple of principles based on read and react. And anybody who plays basketball knows, if you are trying to read and react, you are not going to throw a pass that could lead to a turnover, which is what it is going to take to get the ball back into Caitlin Clark's hands.
Comparing this situation to Steph Curry misses the player entirely. A closer analogy is Steve Nash, a system creator, an offensive hub, someone who made everything around him function through decision-making and pace rather than off-ball cutting ability. Nash was not a great off-ball player, either. The version of that team that nearly won titles was built entirely around channeling the ball through him and letting the surrounding pieces react. The failures of those Phoenix teams had nothing to do with Nash's limitations.
What Iowa ran when Caitlin Clark was off the ball, when Kate Martin took it up or Gabby Marshall took it up, is they ran whatever it was just to get Caitlin a little bit of an ease to get the ball back in her hands. And the Indiana Fever did that in 2024. They did that in 2024. Post-Olympic break, the Indiana Fever, if Caitlin ever gave the ball up, the goal was get the ball back into Caitlin Clark. She made the decisions. The decisions were being made by Caitlin and Aaliyah Boston. Right now at the
Draft picks were sold off. Joe Johnson walked because ownership did not want to pay. 2 key players got suspended in the most important game of a playoff series after he had already taken a hit that put him out of action. Those are organizational and situational failures, not player failures. The same framework applies here.
Aaliyah Boston. Right now at the Indiana Fever, the decisions are being made by whoever has the ball. There's a big difference between that. And what does that mean for Caitlin Clark? She's not very good when she doesn't have the ball in her hands a lot. And can we just not talk about players doing no wrong? It's like me saying LeBron James isn't very good if his teammates don't pass him the ball. No shit. He's not Kevin Durant. It's like trying to play Caitlin in this role in the Steph.
If the Fever are running Stephanie White's motion offense, the data suggests the team actually functions better when Clark is not being asked to operate as a spot-up piece within that system. The math is uncomfortable but fairly straightforward. A player who provides Clark's defensive vulnerabilities needs to be producing offensively at a level that justifies the exposure. As a decoy in a read and react system, she is not doing that. As the engine of a pace and space offense built around her and Aaliyah Boston running pick and roll, she absolutely is. White is not sabotaging the offense.
Trying to play Caitlin in this role, in the Steph Curry role, is like trying to play LeBron James as Kevin Durant. It's not going to work. As an isolation mid-range shooter, it's not going to work. It's like trying to play Paige Beckers in Fee Collier's role. It's not going to work. It's like trying to get Aaliyah Boston to play like Aja Wilson. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Every player plays their own way, except one player is not being allowed to play their own way because it is this weird... And by the way, I don't know.
When Clark and Boston are killing teams in the two-man game, the ball is not getting yanked back into a formal play call. The system bends to what is working. But the tension between what Clark does naturally and what the structure asks of players is real and visible in almost every game. It is not a criticism of the coaching philosophy, it is a recognition that the personnel and the system are misaligned at a fundamental level. What a championship version of this team probably has to look like is fairly clear.
By the way, I don't know. I don't necessarily think Stephanie White's wrong. I don't necessarily think she's wrong. Because, I'm sorry, she's had success in her career. She's a significantly better coach than I am. She's a significantly better coach than anyone watching this. And we have to move from Stephanie White being wrong to Caitlin Clark will not be good in this system. They're two very different conversations to have.